Okay, so my good people, um, 2019 happens, and we get our first house. Um, Now I know I told y'all that there was professional teams and celebrities in this movie to be. Um, Her ex before me was a professional football player. Uh, I'm not going to say any names, but come to find out, see if I can give you a hint. Um, in black magic, there is such a thing as humiliation spells, where they try to publicly humiliate you. This person, this player, has this once a year. They usually do a list on certain sporting channels of the most embarrassing moments. Humiliation spells. Remember that. The second celebrity, the first celebrity, was her college roommate. Like I said, I'm not going to say any names, but I can go on and on and on about it in another lifetime. If you went to school in Louisiana, you would understand. Um, I would love to hear some of these stories. I would. This person here, this celebrity, is from the DFW, and I wanted to see him perform, but never wanted to go. And I couldn't understand. I'm like, but this was your roommate. Why wouldn't you want to go and watch him perform? Never wanted to go. So that always stuck with me. But okay, the other celebrity will come along later on in the movie, but in the story that is. So 2020 happened, COVID, and this is when everything started to change. Um, at the time, I was still driving trucks, and COVID happened. Well, you know, Kobe died, and that was, and I wasn't even a huge Kobe fan, but that still hit me, because I'm a girl dad. Um, so that was an emotional part at the beginning of the year, and then COVID hit, and I was a mess. I'm not gonna lie, I was a flat-foot mess. I was unbalanced. I wasn't grounded. I wasn't nothing. My emotions was everywhere. I didn't know what to think. I took the shots. I took 3 of them. That's how they had me. They had my mind completely. She had them. She had helped them, and I was a nervous wreck. I was a flat-foot nervous wreck. That job ran me off. I lost that gig, and the whole time they doing the quarantine of the trucks, and it was just a hot mess. Where, in hindsight, it was to scare people and have people angry. The two emotions they use to control the masses, fear and anger, is what they use to control us, and they still do it to this day. Put a pin in that. Um, I sat out just like everybody else. That whole shutdown situation, I sat out just like everybody else. And during that time, that's when the Most High had me watching Cheers every day, hours upon hours upon hours of Cheers. And he didn't show me until, wait, maybe a month or two ago, why he had me watching Cheers and Boondocks, the cartoon Boondocks, every day. When I got tired of Cheers, I would watch Boondocks. And it was the theme songs. This is when he started waking me up. This is when he started pulling the veil off of my eyes. It was the theme songs. So go back and listen to those theme songs. Cheers. Because if you know, like I know, you watch Cheers 4, 5, 6 episodes, what you gonna do? You're gonna sing the theme song. He was embedding the theme song in my head. I was the stone that the building rejected. Boondocks. That's the only part that used to stick in my head from that theme song. So this is when he started waking me up. I had another job. I got another job because I had to leave the driving job. Then I got a job working from home. They ran me off. But this one, they were a little bit more successful because they damn near drove me crazy. Because I saw everything that they were doing because the Most High had turned my intuition up. He had turned it up just a little bit. I was already an intuitive person, but he just turned the dial just a little bit, and I started seeing everything that they were doing and couldn't figure out why. He hadn't gave me a whole bunch of gifts, but he just turned the intuitive notch to the right, and I saw him, and I started documenting everything on him to the point I still got all this information. ICIS. I started documenting everything, and this is the first sign of betrayal. Was the guy that helped me get the job. When I went to him, telling him, oh man, blah, 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 blah. And his son worked there. And his son just kind of distanced himself from me. But like I said, they damn near drove me crazy to the point where I started going to counseling. To the point where counseling, they was like, what? She got pissed off at him. She was like, this is stupid. All this is just what they're doing. What? That's stupid. And then there was a family member that was a HR consultant. So I was speaking to her as well, and she was like, no, they can't do that. This is stupid. All this is stupid. And I just couldn't understand why all this was happening. But it was happening. And I ended up taking a leave of absence, and then I just didn't go back once I came back. But they had got me on medication at this time. And the medication gave me a little buzz or gave me a little high. So it wasn't that hard to continue to take it. I didn't mind taking it because, that's how they hook you. On most of this medication, it makes you feel good. And I was taking the medication, and but then my body started breaking down. Out of nowhere, I just got, I never had an issue with my stomach at all. I could eat whatever I want to besides dairy. Of course, the dairy would tear my stomach up, or it would break my skin out. Or I would have, I was going to say alopecia, but that's not correct. What is it? The different colors. You know what I'm trying to talk about. But so that's what milk and cheese would do to my skin. But, I dealt with that my whole life. And, but out of nowhere, I had diverticulitis. And to the point where I'm on the floor in the fetal position screaming out. I was in so much pain. And I think a year before, I had went to get the colonoscopy. So he went up the back door to make sure I didn't have any colon cancer or anything, or a couple years earlier. So no, that was the first year that I went and did that, and that's when he told me I had diverticulitis or diverticulosis or whatever that mess was, and told me I couldn't eat X, Y, and Z. I'm like, man, what the hell ever? I'm gonna eat what I want to eat. I ain't never had this problem before. And I ain't never had it. I'm not gonna believe what you're telling me. Just out of nowhere, my stomach started hurting because, oh, you had pockets right here and you had, man, get out of here. I ain't never had issues with my stomach before. I mean, it's just, I mean, I imagine it's probably just gonna happen out of nowhere, but just the type of pain that I had, that stuff, it wasn't right. It didn't seem right. And that was the first situation where I got sick. And then the next situation, the major situation, I mean, don't get it messed up. Then I started having styes on my eye. You know, it was just too much stuff that was going on with my health that didn't make any sense. And then, you know, I went to my primary care physician, and she was like, well, you never been, I think I was 48. You never been 48 before. So that's why this is happening. I was like, no, I'm not believing, because there was too much stuff that was happening. And then out of nowhere, then the sciatica, at least that's what I thought it was to be. And I was like, no, you know, to the point where I couldn't even cross my legs to tie my shoe or put my shoe on. And I was like, no, it just, none of this was making sense, that my body just all of a sudden just started to break down. And it didn't make any sense, none whatsoever. So at this point, I had tried a couple things for jobs. I had to leave the working from home because they ran me off as well, to the point where I had to call an EEOC on them. I mean, there was so many other things that was going on, like, you know, my church family turned against me, where they were doing, no shade, Jesse Morlett type situations at the church. Like, it was just a whole show. It was just, you know, everything, my intuition was on point. I saw all of this stuff, you know, I saw all of it. And then once the jobs, I tried the catering business, and the catering business is where everybody else will know, give you a timeline. Well, not to even say that, because a person that I thought was a friend, I called them. They lived on the West Coast. I was like, man, the food prices had went skyrocket because I had started a catering business, Fat Cousins Cooking, and I think I'm still on TikTok. I'm not for sure. But the food prices had went up. Wings were ridiculous, and that was the main thing I was cooking. That's when wings, everything else stayed the same price, but wings went up. Was that because of me? But when I called to the West Coast, he was like, no, we're not having that problem. But we were having that problem in Texas. And so I had to let the catering business go. And then that's when my brother called and said, I made this coffee. I want you to try it. Because I couldn't cross my legs to put my shoe on. He sent it to me, and 3 days later, this was in February of that year, and I still had all my Christmas stuff on the floor of the garage because I couldn't put it in the attic. I was in so much pain with everything that was going on with my body. After taking the coffee 3 days, drinking the coffee for 3 days, on the 5th day, I put everything in the attic. That's how good the coffee made me feel. So I started drinking the coffee every day. and I started feeling better. It was CBD coffee. He had infused CBD oil into the coffee beans and in the coffee, and it made me feel just that great. And we decided to start a company. And everything I tried to do, it was not successful. From the 2 jobs that I lost, from trying to start a catering business, I also had went and took my insurance test, got my adjuster's license to be an insurance adjuster for, big, terrible weather storms or whatever. Nobody would ever hire me. I could never get a deployment, even though there's one place said, if you take this class and this class and this class, we'll make sure that the first one we get, we're going to deploy you. Nobody ever called me. Then I went and took the test to sell life insurance. They never sent my license back. It was just too many things happening to keep me from being able to make any kind of money. So once my brother came with the coffee, we wasn't licensed to sell the CBD oil, so we just gave it away. At least I did. And people would give me donations back so I could keep, making it and giving it to them. And we sent off for our LLC. Once we sent out for our LLC, then I started getting hit with everything. I hadn't lived in my hometown for 25 years. I got a notification that I had some old taxes I need to pay there. Conway, Arkansas, I hadn't lived there for 30 years. Same notification that I needed to pay some old taxes on a car I had from 30 years prior. Took 6 months for us to get the LLC to sell our coffee. In the meantime, this was still before that. So yeah, it took 6 months to get the LLC to sell the coffee. So once we got the LLC, we were going to get licensed. Once we got it, as soon as we got it, nobody on my end wanted the coffee anymore. Matter of fact, the person that was getting the coffee the most and had brung me other people to get the coffee, when I called her and asked her if she wanted some, she acted like she didn't know who I was. So all this stuff started happening, and I couldn't explain I'm like, what is going on, man? I can't keep a job, can't get a job. Everything I'm trying to do is going south. And I have always been able to get myself out of the mud. I always been able to pull myself out of the mud. I ain't never dwelled nowhere. But all this wasn't making sense. All praises to the Most High. I'll see y'all on the next one.